What we have today is an FSA antenna. This is an outdoor TV antenna. I'm using it indoors right now because it's too cold outside to set up an antenna. But even indoors, this is doubled by channel reception. With a regular indoor antenna, I was getting 8 channels, 8 stations. Now I receive 15 stations and 46 channels. That's pretty darn cool. I might get a little more once I put this outside. Although all those signals are pretty strong, so they're pretty local signals. This is a rotating antenna, although the rotation is crippled. Okay, so the way this works is you have this little unit here inside. That's your little controller box. That is both a splitter and a controller and a power over wire delivery system. So your power supply plugs into this. Your TV, this has a built-in wire that goes to your TV. It has a port for a second TV, so you can hook 2 TVs up to this, which is actually very handy. I plan to do exactly that. And it also has a power port, of course. You can see the LED and the control button right there. Now, that control button and this remote allow you to rotate the antenna. So you can rotate the antenna back and forth and line it up with your stations. The only problem is there's no encoder. So that's one way. It's sending a blind signal up to the antenna to rotate. And that's not very useful. Thankfully, all of my stations, I'm in New Mexico, so literally all of my stations are in Albuquerque. So they're all one direction. So this will let me fine-tune that one direction. But you can't really use the rotator from inside, because first of all, you have no way of knowing which way it's rotating, and no way of knowing how much it rotated. And without that data, it's just not very useful. You're going to have to go outside and look at it. And so I kind of wish that had no wire going to the TV, and that it just had a port. Because I'm probably going to want to put that in a window by the back door, so that I can stand outside and hit that with the remote from inside while looking up at the antenna. As it stands, that has to be within a few feet of the TV because it's got a permanently built-in short wire, which I'll have to extend if I wish to do that. So not a huge deal, not a big deal, but if you live in an area where you need to do a lot of rotating, that's kind of annoying. But again, for the price, it's pretty hard to complain, and the quality seems pretty decent. That's a standard 1-inch flank pole, and that screws onto it just fine. It comes all packed up nice and neat. You unfold all of the resonators here. You unfold the wings. You unfold the top and bottom reflector wings. You plug your cable in, which also provides power to this rotator unit. That's that little box right there. And you can't see it now, but there's a little, you see it in one of my pictures, there's a little red LED on there. There is a waterproof jacket that shoves up inside the unit partially, so water will not get ingress into the unit. And there's a little loose ring on the end of the wire. You take your needle nose pliers and just pinch that ring, and that'll help it grip so that that piece, you see it right there, that little black piece coming out of the wire, doesn't fall down. This way you maintain your water ingress protection, so it's water resistant. Pretty neat though. I mean, the screws could use improvement. It uses these cheap little, steel screws that will strip if you look at them wrong. But they work. Just make sure you use the correct screwdriver. If your screwdriver is jumping, you're using the wrong screwdriver. Believe it or not, there's different Phillips screwdrivers, so try a couple different screwdrivers till you find one that fits properly, and you won't have any problems. I'm assuming this is all pretty lightweight, so I'm assuming this is all aluminum, which is good. You don't want a heavy mass up on top of a pole on top of your house, because we get some pretty significant winds around here, especially since those reflectors are going to act as sails. So the fact that it's lightweight is a good thing. In general, I'm impressed. I get absolutely fantastic reception. Every single channel comes in crystal clear. I mean, I'm only 30 miles from Albuquerque, so that shouldn't be that much of an issue. But even still, getting 15 stations and 46 channels is pretty darn cool. You might be wondering what the difference is. A station is a broadcaster, so that's one frequency. But the HDTV protocol allows you to lower your resolution, because you got a certain amount of bandwidth on that frequency band, and you can send multiple data streams. So when you look at your TV, you might go to channel 9, and there might be a 9.1, 9.2, 9.3, 9.4, 9.5. And I think you can have up to 7 if you go all standard def. But you can use fewer and get a couple of high def and a couple of standard def channels. They call sub-channels. In reality, they're actual different channels. So I get 15 stations and 46 channels. And it's pretty neat. I like the antenna. It actually looks good. The fact that it's mostly plastic and aluminum is a positive because it's not going to corrode or rust. Except for those screws, they'll probably rust. But I'll dab a little hot glue over the screws to seal them off from moisture. I'm a dry climate here, so I don't have to worry about that too much. Overall, I'm impressed. It was easy to put together. The instructions were clear enough, and it works well, except for the fact that there's no encoder, so you can't tell where the antenna is pointed from that. It would be nice if you had two-way comms with the antenna and an encoder so that I knew which way it was pointed. Otherwise, not a bad value for your money.